Boys and girls, I want for you to know about clay. The clay we've been using, when it has a lot of water, it's called slip. In real life, you probably call it mud, because this is stuff that came straight from the earth. Now, when you can move it around and you can play with it a little bit and make things, we call that wet clay, but in real life, it's supposed to be called plastic. When you can make things out of the clay, it's plastic. When it starts to get harder, we call it leather hard. Now with leather hard, you can't be making big adjustments, but it's still soft enough that you can carve into it without it falling apart. Unlike what we call bone dry. This is clay that has been drying for so long that when you tap on it, you can hear it's hard, and with one little squeeze, the whole thing will crumble. Absolutely tragic and terrible. If you put bone dry clay into a cup, it will turn back into mud. And that's because if you look on the right, all the little particles of clay have just welded together. Now, once bone dry clay goes into the kiln at almost 2,000 degrees, actually 1,945 to be exact, this is what I do. I take your bone dry stuff, I put it into the kiln, usually that's filled to the top, and I set the kiln at 1,945 degrees Fahrenheit. And after about a day or two, I can get in there and we'll find that everything has turned to bisque. Listen to this. That's what bisque sounds like. This is what leather or bone dry sounds like. And listen to this. That's the sound of that bone dry clay absorbing the water. Now today you are going to be applying glaze to your bisque because your bone dry project went into the kiln already and it's bisque now. But today you are going to apply glaze, which is a mix of basically color, a little clay, and glass. And when it goes back into the kiln, at 1,828 degrees, it is going to, all that glass is going to melt and the color is going to stay and it's going to end up nice and shiny because all those glass particles will have melted all over your project. So let's review for my smart people here. It starts off as slip when it's kind of muddy. When it's wet, we call it plastic. Next, leather hard. Next, do you know? Bone dry. After it goes into the kiln, it becomes bisque. Then after you put glaze on it, you put it back in the kiln again, and it is glazeware. See if you can quick test yourself and see if you remember the stages of clay.